Join me today as we talk about Tulsi Gabbard. She's got more information that's going to be coming out and some whistleblowers. Is Barack Obama going to go to jail? I don't know, but we're going to find out who is. Hunter Biden has lost it with an F-bomb rant in an interview about George Clooney, for all people. Alligator Alcatraz. Do you know you get a bus ride or a plane ticket home before you even get processed there? I bet you didn't know. And if you served our country as an honorable soldier, Marine, sailor, and airman, and you still don't have a citizenship status, I believe you should get bumped to the front of the line and get automatic American citizenship. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, the big news that came on Friday, and I talked about earlier, is that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, came out with the huge memo with over 100 pages of documents that show that former President Barack Obama, James Comey, and John Brennan, the head of the CIA, all conspired to frame Donald Trump for the Russia hoax that was not a Russia hoax. They had received the intelligence briefings from their departments that showed that Russia had zero to do with the 2016 election. And during December, before they handed over the reins to President Trump, they decided to change that information and fit the narrative that Donald Trump actually, in fact, colluded with Russia. Started the entire investigation. The Durham report was based on that information that they fabricated against Donald Trump. So Crossfire Hurricane and all of those people that were involved in that are all guilty of conspiring to overthrow a duly elected president of the United States. Now, I've heard a lot of grief. The people like, oh, Obama, is he going to get arrested? You know, how can he get arrested? Donald Trump already came out, and through the Supreme Court, they ruled that the president cannot be responsible for his acts while he was being president of the United States for the presidential duties that he does. Like if you bomb a country or you go after certain people that's within your purview as your presidential duties. The problem here is this: Obama continued the lie after he got out of office. They continued the lie. So from what I'm gathering, once you continue perpetrating that lie and continue the conspiracy to go on, the date and time of statute of limitations doesn't end, because you got a statute of limitation, I believe, of 5 years. But when you continue the lie and you perpetrate the lie over and over again, then it continues. So it's still going on. And when President Barack Obama got out of office, they continued that lie. He could have came out and said, listen, it wasn't true. It was a big mistake. We know he didn't collude with Russia, but he didn't do that, did they? They continued. They let a whole special counsel, John Durham, get in there and figure out that nothing really happened, but he was using the information that they fabricated from the CIA and all those government agencies. And people are still up in arms about the whole release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. This is a whole nothing burger. They're showing the hand over here while, they're trying to hide the whole Epstein thing. Do you really think Jeffrey Epstein, who wasn't a government official, who was already charged with the crimes that he was in jail for, he had an accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison for doing what she did. They already know what that individual did, but yet the left are using that as, well, Donald Trump diddled kids. We need to figure out what he did. He's just trying to go after Obama right now. These are classified documents that have been unsealed. Unsealed. They are legitimate documents. They didn't fabricate this. This is a conspiracy to overthrow a duly elected president. And Donald Trump knew exactly what was going on. He knew it. He told us as much. But everybody on the left is still hooting and hollering over the Epstein stuff, when we're going to find out there's nothing there. And the more I hear about it, the more I realize there probably isn't anything there. Do I want the files released? Absolutely. 100%. I've said it before. I want all this information released to the public so the public can make their own opinion and draw their own conclusions on the information that's given. Now, Trump already said, hey, release whatever the grand jury has that's sealed, and those two federal court judges in New York have that ability. Pam Bondi, the AG, has already requested those files to be opened and released and unsealed. So it's up to the judges now, because that's really what they base a criminal charges on, is a grand jury testimony. So you're going to find out everything you need to know, what happened with Epstein, who was on the list, people that were involved with him. And the list is apparently very small. Alan Dershowitz already said the list is very small. You can maybe fit a couple of fingers, in your hand of the amount of people that are on it. And he said there are no officials that are currently in government right now. There are some former officials. Some people are dead, but nobody currently. That's what he said. And he was Epstein's lawyer. Even Epstein's lawyer came out and said some of that information. That he said if he had evidence that he worked with a foreign government and he was able to use that information to get his client out of the trouble he was in, they certainly would have used it, but he didn't have that information. So we're going to see. I want the files released. I want all the information released, but you guys got to let it go. It's a nothing burger, apparently. You could say, well, Trump was his friend. They have pictures together. Billionaires hang out with other billionaires. They lived in Palm Beach together. They were kind of neighbors. They went around the same circles. There's already been people that have testified that were mutual friends of theirs that already said they weren't best friends. They weren't. They ran around the same circles. And people like photo ops just like everybody else. But this whole thing about Barack Obama, Comey, and Brennan is a huge deal. People that were in our government were trying to overthrow a duly elected president of the United States. They didn't like Donald Trump because he knows all the secrets. He's been that big time donor. He donated to Democrats. He donated to Republicans. He's donated to both sides of the aisle. He was friends with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer was on The Apprentice when Donald Trump took his team to meet Chuck Schumer. And Schumer was talking about how he knew Donald Trump's father, how he was a developer and he had nothing but good things to say about him, but now he's an arch enemy. Don't believe all that. They didn't want Donald Trump in there because he knows how the system works. And he was tired of us being taken advantage of from other foreign countries and everybody just getting a handout from the United States. And the more I look into this and the more I dig into this, I'm glad he's there. I'm glad he's taking this shrapnel for us. I'm glad he's in there to create interference between them and us. But get off the whole Epstein thing. A government official was colluding with other government officials, fabricating evidence that the Clinton campaign paid for through her campaign. Crossfire Hurricane, that whole thing, it's all getting uncovered. And I can't believe, even if you're on the left, that you have no problem with somebody in our government trying to overthrow a president of the United States who was duly elected. The jig was up. They knew when Hillary Clinton lost, they said that she went berserk. She had no idea she was going to lose. She thought it was in the bag. You know why? Because they had it in the bag, and you know exactly why they had it in the bag. They didn't calculate that all these people would actually come out for Donald Trump. They had the deck padded a little bit, but not as much as they needed to. And that's why in 2020, they figured things out a little bit differently. But now, it's all coming out. So this is not, look over here, don't worry about the Epstein. If you are really that uptight about the Epstein files, thinking that Donald Trump did all of this, now all these letters are coming out that he supposedly signed. Come on. Another woman came out that said she was involved with them. Come on. Do you really not believe that some of these people actually fabricate this? That they don't find individuals and they pay them a sum of money? I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. When you have somebody that's been silent for 20 years, oh shoot, longer than that, since 1997, whenever they were associates with each other, they came out and testified against this stuff almost 30 years later, but yet in both elections didn't say anything. Didn't say anything in the last couple of years when Donald Trump said he was going to run again, but they were all quiet. But now all of a sudden they're finding all this information out. The Wall Street Journal's losing memberships and subscribers left and right because of the crap that they try to pull with the letter last week. Everybody knows that was fake. Even people that are on the left a little bit like, oh, come on, that's a little bit convenient. All of a sudden it comes out of nowhere where they had years to stop Donald Trump. They arrested the guy. They prosecuted him. He was in court almost daily for the last year of the election campaign cycle. You don't think they would have used everything they had in their holsters to get him out of becoming president of the United States? Absolutely. They had a lot to lose. And you know what they had to lose? They had a lot to lose with the evidence that they're finding right now in treasure troves. This is factual evidence that they have found. And I just can't wrap my head that if you're an American, that your derangement is so obscured over Donald Trump that you just can't see that, man, these people like try to overthrow an elected president. They made up information, even though they knew the information was false. The director of the CIA, director of the FBI, and the president of the United States came up with this stuff. It doesn't bother you at all. You don't care. You're worried about Jeffrey Epstein over people trying to take over the president. It's just because it's Donald Trump. If it was somebody else, you may be a little upset. I'm upset about it. Now, if Donald Trump was on the files or there was actual evidence that he did anything nefarious, sure, I would be on that train with you guys too. But he wasn't. There's no evidence at all to support that. Zero. Just because he didn't release all the information, maybe there really isn't anything there. Maybe what he said at Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, maybe by him saying all these people made up the list, maybe that's what they wanted. They wanted questions. They wanted us looking over here and wondering if Jeffrey Epstein killed himself or not. Maybe while they were doing something else over here. You don't know. Who knows? It's starting to look like that to me a little bit. I don't know for a fact, but it's starting to look like that. It's starting to look like maybe this wasn't anything. Was he a Mossad agent? I don't know. They've had a former prime minister say, no, he didn't work with us at all. Now, do we believe him? No, nobody believes him. Nobody believes anything anybody says anymore. They just don't. Even though Tulsi Gabbard came out with this evidence of what they did, nobody believes her. Oh, it's wrong. They're just covering, taking shots for President Trump so nothing can come out of it. I mean, come on, guys. You really think that's what it is? You really think that's what they're doing? You don't think that when he said, hey, there's other things you got to worry about, that he knew some of this was coming out? I think he knew. I think he knows everything that's coming. I think he's the one president of the United States that knows everything that's going on right now. I believe he does. So we're going to see what happens. Now, is Obama going to get arrested? I don't know. We already had a former president arrested, didn't we? Remember, Barack Obama wasn't acting in a presidential duty. He was fabricating a lie. That's a lot different than doing your presidential job. That's why a president can't get prosecuted when you're doing your job. But when you're acting in a treasonous manner, which that may or may not come out to be true, that's illegal, whether you're president of the United States or not. You weren't acting in a presidential duty. Now, if he had gotten information that Russia was involved in the election and he came up with all this and they got all this information out and then the whole story was absolutely true, which we know 100% it was not true. It was all fabricated and created. The Steele dossier was paid for. They created it. We know that's false. You don't think you should be in trouble for that? Not a little bit? Somebody's going to go to jail. And I hope they put people in jail. Barack Obama, I don't think he should go to jail. He's president of the United States. But the little people that they got involved in this, they have whistleblowers right now. That's right. Director Tulsi Gabbard said they have whistleblowers now that are relieved that this is now able to come out because they're afraid for their jobs and their personal well-being if they said anything during those years. So they have whistleblowers, a lot of whistleblowers coming out that are corroborating all this information that's been coming out. But it's the little people that pay for it, not the president of the United States. Barack Obama, he's not going to pay for any of this. Maybe they'll arrest him. Maybe they're not going to do a perp walk. Maybe they'll get him a mug shot to match Donald Trump's. And Donald Trump, know what he'll do? He'll hang it up next to his. And you know what he'll do? He'll pardon him. He will pardon Barack Obama. 100%. As soon as he gets charged, he'll just pardon him. And that's what he should do. But everybody else, John Brennan, James Comey, and anybody else was involved, Clapper, they're going to go to jail. And I can't wait for that to happen because people need to be held accountable. And that's what we voted for in America. We voted for these people to be held accountable. That's why America went crazy over the whole Epstein thing not getting released because, what? We thought this guy was going to be held accountable for all these crimes. We thought we were going to get a list of all these politicians and these movie stars and whoever else. And we're going to find out who they are. And we're going to burn them at the stake. And all that stuff was going to come out. And it didn't. Nothing happened. All the podcasters, Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, everybody else that can get in front of a microphone was saying all the things that we thought were going to be true. And it turned out maybe not so true. But we'll see. So as the peels get pulled back, we're going to get to the bottom of this. But people should pay a price. And that's what the American people want. We want these people to pay a price for what they've done. Because if not, it's only going to get worse. If you don't hold these people accountable for what they've done, it's going to continue to happen. And it's going to continue to happen on a larger scale. So the little people that are involved, that kept their mouths shut for all these years, unfortunately, they kept quiet because they're afraid. And now they have people on their side that's going to help them release that information so this country can start healing and getting back to running a country and being the powerhouse that the United States actually is. We'll see what happens over the next couple of months, but I believe people are going to go to jail for this. And they should. Because doing what they did to try to overthrow a duly elected president, it is in fact treasonous if it's proven to be true. And so far, from the information that we've gathered and we've seen, it is. Now, everybody's still screaming about Alligator Alcatraz and, oh my God, it's so horrible. The conditions are horrible. They're not. Ron DeSantis allowed Democrat congressmen, state congressmen go there, state representatives, Republican and Democrat, to all go down there and check out the facility. He's not running a Four Seasons, as he says. He's not running the Four Seasons. He's running a detention center that's going to process people out to their own countries. But you know what's something you don't know and you're not hearing in the news? They don't have to go there. When they are detained by DHS, you know what they can do? They can go home on the government's dime. And they get a free bus ride home or an airplane ticket, and they can go F off. They don't have to go to Alcatraz. But they choose to go to Alcatraz because they think they're going to be able to fight their way to stay in the United States, when that's not going to happen. So you're not hearing about that. You're not hearing that people can actually go home without having to go to that facility. But they're not telling you that, are they? They just want to tell you how awful it is over there. It's so terrible. It's not supposed to be the Four Seasons, right? It's supposed to be a place where they process you out and you go home. You got 3 hots and a cot, and you got cold AC. Just don't go outside because the mosquitoes are the size of pelicans in Florida. And the WNBA, they came out in t-shirts that said, pay us what you owe us. All of them did. 2 teams came out. Caitlin Clark and her other teammates came out with these shirts on. It's laughable to me. They do nothing but rake Caitlin Clark over the coals. I mean, she's beat up in every game. I mean, you see all the highlights. They manhandle that poor girl. Since 2024, since she came into the league, the products and the gear and the t-shirts and the jerseys are up 500% since she's been in the league. The market share has been up 26.6% since she's been in the league. Everything's gone up. Viewership's gone up 107%. I mean, she's done nothing but positive things for the league, and they do nothing but bash that girl. And I don't see why she's on the bandwagon. I get it. She's got to go along to get along. But if you look at all the things about Michael Jordan, if you ever watched that 30 for 30 and the biography about Michael Jordan, or if you've seen the movie Air, the Michael Jordan story, you see all that? You got people like Charles Barkley that talks about Michael Jordan and how he helped him with his sneaker deal. And Michael Jordan kind of told him how to make their deals work. Michael Jordan changed the league. I remember a kid in the 70s wearing like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sneakers. I remember I had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sneakers when I was a kid. And nobody went to basketball games. There was nobody there. I mean, you can go to NBA basketball games for like $5. And then Michael Jordan comes into the league and he changed the game, the way the sneaker deals were. And these players started making multi-millions of dollars. And they give him credit for changing that. Well, Caitlin Clark is owed that respect. It doesn't matter who came before her. It doesn't, like Michael Jordan. Yeah, you respect like Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You respect all those players that came before you. But when it comes down to it, the money didn't start flowing to the NBA until Michael Jordan got on the court. And that's what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA. But you come out there when you're losing $40, $50 million a year, that's what you're losing every single year. But yet you come out with these t-shirts on asking to be paid more. I'll tell you what, nobody started getting paid money in the NBA until they started selling out stadiums. until they started putting on entertainment and show. And look, let's be reality here. No guy is buying a WNBA woman's jersey. There may be a few that may go to a game and wear it, but they're not wearing it out and about, because you know who buys jerseys? Dudes buy jerseys. But these ladies think that, the salary is about $124,000. Rookies are about 70-something thousand. You're playing basketball. You're playing a game. And you don't even work all year. I mean, you get sponsorships. You make a little side hustle, sneaker deals, Nike deals. They make money on the side as well. Maybe they're making $500,000. Maybe a couple of players are making $1 million, couple $1 million a year with sponsorships. I can't name 5 WNBA players. I can't. I just can't. I mean, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. That's all I got. That's all I got. Because I don't really care about it. And most people don't. There's some diehard guys that love sports to that point where they'll go see any sporting activity. There's guys out there just love that stuff. I'm just not that guy. But I can name, 10 past NBA players. I can. Remember, WNBA came out in 96. I don't know any of those players from back then. None. Zero players. So until the WNBA starts getting to the level of the guys, which to get there, I don't think it's going to get there. I mean, they're still subsidized in somewhat shape or form by the NBA. I don't know if they're going to get there. Who's watching them? Who's going to watch those games? Not a lot of people. They can thank Caitlin Clark for getting the attendance up, because that's all her doing. But they don't give her the credit for it, like they gave Michael Jordan credit for it. Because there's a lot of basketball players that came out way before Michael Jordan that are superstar athletes that paved the way for the NBA. But Michael Jordan changed the game, like Caitlin Clark changed the game for the WNBA. But, I mean, she's beat up in every game pretty much. They don't give her any props or any credit for helping that league turn to what it is. Now, she's not a superstar like Michael Jordan, but she's like a superstar athlete. And since 2024, when she came into the league, a lot of things have changed for the positive with them. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, ladies. It wasn't. It takes time. You got a product now. You got a product that people are starting to watch. A few more years, you can start maybe griping about your salaries. But coming out with a t-shirt, if I was an owner, I'd be pissed if I was an owner that you came out with that. Owners take all the risk. They pay all the salaries. They got their arenas. They do all that stuff. They don't have the actual arenas, but they pay rent on when they start using those arenas that the NBA uses. Come on, guys. You got to be better than that. You got to put out a product that people want to see, and that's a valuable product. And let me see a couple of dudes walking down the street one day with a WNBA jersey on their back. And I don't think I'm going to see that anytime soon. And Beau Biden went on a tirade the other day in an interview, an F-bomb tirade about George Clooney, or how George Clooney can actually come out with a full-page spread disrespecting his dad and telling him how his dad should step down from running again and isn't really fit for office. He was pissed. Check it out.
But fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him and everybody around him. Or not to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times?
I mean, who is George Clooney? He's an actor. He's a nobody. He's an actor. I don't even know what George Clooney movie he's been in lately, besides Oceans 11, 12, and 13. That's about all I know about George Clooney. And he was on ER. Come on. He wrote a, full spread page. George Clooney's got that much power on the Democratic Party. Guy's never been in office. He just donates, I guess, and does, $20,000, $100,000 a night, plate dinners for the Democrat Party. That's what he does. He's a big time organizer for donations. Star power. He goes in there. Him and Julia Roberts went in there. They got a bunch of pictures when Biden was there, when he had to be walked off the stage. But yeah, Hunter Biden's pretty pissed off. And I think he has every right to be a little ticked off at George Clooney about this. It's just another reason how the Democratic Party is starting to unwind. And here's a little something I want to talk about. It's kind of near and dear to me because I'm a veteran, and my father was a veteran, my grandfather was a veteran, my father-in-law was a veteran, my brother's a veteran, my brother-in-law was a veteran, my best friend was a veteran. So I'm surrounded by veterans, okay? And I love everybody that served our country, whether you're young, old, served for just 4 years, 6 years, or you retired and made it a career out of it. So I came in contact with an individual, and I'm not going to use his name right now, but I just want to get your opinion on this. This individual came out to me when I was doing a live one time on TikTok and got into my live, and he's a former Marine that served in Iraq, came home, had some, mental health issues, maybe some PTSD, some other issues, and became addicted to drugs. And maybe got some criminal activity for about 10 years, wound up getting his life back. But his parents brought him here when he was 5 years old. And his green card status that he had with his parents had kind of expired and wore out. So he left the country, I guess, to go to Mexico to visit his family, and he came back. When he came back, he got detained. Now, unfortunate for him, since he wasn't a legal citizen at the time he got detained, and his paperwork wasn't up to date, he was processed to be deported out of the country. I have a little bit of an issue with this. I believe everybody who serves the United States military should be automatically given citizenship. And it's weird. I'm naive to this. When I was in Afghanistan, I had one of my soldiers. I can't remember where he was from. He was from one of the islands, Jamaica or something like that. I can't remember exactly where he was from. And I wish I remembered his name. Great little soldier. I liked him a lot. But he was an American citizen. And I had asked him, and I was surprised. I literally was surprised. I go, I thought you were a citizen if you served in the military. He goes, no, sir, you're not a citizen. And I'm working on that right now. And I said, oh, well, good. Well, let's hope it happens for you. If you need any help, let me know. And I was naive back then. I didn't know if you didn't serve in the military, you're not an American citizen. I didn't know that. But you're not. You can serve 4 years honorably in our country, and then you get out. If you are an American citizen while you're in there, you're not an American citizen when you get out. And I have a little bit of an issue with that. So this individual's, he hired a lawyer. I talked to him offline. He hired an attorney. It's costing him $15,000, he says, and he's fighting to stay in this country. Like I said, I've seen his profile. I've looked him up. He looks legitimate. I haven't asked him for his DD-214 yet. I haven't asked him for any information about him personally to verify his story, but I believe he's legitimate. So I'm asking you out there, if you're watching this video and don't scroll, hear me out. Just hear me out a minute. If you serve in the United States military and you are honorably discharged, general, under honorable conditions, or honorable, those three. If you get to BCG or you're, under or dishonorable discharge, that's a whole nother story. But those three that I mentioned, if you get out of the military with either one of those three discharges, I believe you should be an automatic American citizen. I believe after you serve your 4 years commitment that you originally have, or whatever that time frame is, if you continue on and you re-enlist or you decide to get out, at that time of your original enlistment is up, you should be handed your citizenship papers to become a United States citizen. That's what I feel. Now, it's been bothering me for about a week and a half since I interacted with this individual because of the fact that he was a Marine. No, he is a Marine. He once a Marine, always a Marine, right? And he seemed like a good guy. I looked deep into his profile. He has a family now, and people make mistakes. But you shouldn't be judged on your past mistakes. You should be judged on how you're living your life now. And he took enough pride in our country to enlist into the United States Marine Corps and serve our country and fight for our country. He told me he has a tattoo of his USMC tattoo on one side and the American flag on the other side. So I have a problem with a guy like that having a fight to stay in this country, whatever his criminal background was. Really, I believe whatever that is, and it's whatever crime it is. I do not care whatever crime you committed. If you served our country in the United States military honorably, you should be given a citizenship status immediately, no matter what criminal activity you might have done after you've gotten out. I just believe that. That, to me, allows you to become a citizen of the United States by serving our military honorably. So let me know what you think. And if I can get some traction on this post and this clip, That would be great because I will do a little more investigating on this individual and I'll find out. I'll ask him for a copy of DD-214, all, blacked out. So I don't have any of his personal information, his social security number or anything like that. But I'll see what his actual discharge is. But like I said, I was naive to the fact that if you served in our military, you're not a citizen unless you actually go through the whole citizenship process. And I think that's silly. I think if you're a freaking Marine or soldier or sailor or an airman or whatever they call the Space Force guys, it's astronauts. I don't know what they call them, but Coast Guard. I believe if you serve our country, you should be an automatic citizen, whatever your status was prior to you going in. Period. And I feel bad that if this guy's on the up and up and he's a good dude and he just made some mistakes and he really is a honorably discharged Marine, on the line. I believe he should be pushed to the front of the line and get his citizenship right away. It should be a stamp. Boom. Done. Whatever his crimes were. People, like I said, people make mistakes. And I want this guy to become a citizen. So hit me up, make a comment on this. I would really like your take on what you think should happen to an individual like that. Because he's a Marine. And he should be allowed to stay in this country. And I have to pay $15,000 for an attorney to do that when he already gave up everything to serve our country. He's a one percenter. One percenter. And he decided to took the oath of service. That's a pretty big deal. So let's see what we can do for this guy, all right? And as this progresses and we get more information on it, I will let more information out to you guys. And maybe we can do something. I'm just a small little guy in Central Florida with a podcast. But if I can get some people up in arms, and I do know a few people. I know a few people. But if it becomes legit and I can get some people behind me on this, maybe we can get this guy his citizenship. And we can work with other veterans that have served our country and discharged honorably and can become citizens right away, get pushed to the front of lines. Because I got news for you. They deserve to be pushed in the front of lines before any migrant workers and before any hotel workers, period. That's just my belief. You can argue with me you want, but I believe anybody that serves our country that does not have a citizenship status should be to the front of the line. And those are the first people that should be allowed to stay in this country, regardless of what happened after you got out. I'm sorry. You being a Marine or soldier or sailor or an airman trumps any of that, in my opinion. And you can feel free to disagree with that, but that's how I feel. Anyway, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.